and the Taliban appears to be unravelling this Wednesday. The US has conducted an airstrike against the Islamist group in Afghanistan's Helmand province. That's as reports emerge of deadly Taliban attacks overnight, which killed more than 20 Afghan soldiers. Well, let's delve a little bit further into this story. I'm happy to say we can bring on live to the programme journalist and geopolitical analyst JAVED RANA. JAVED, welcome. Days of supposed progress and just a week to, as we were hearing from our correspondent, that scheduled prisoner swap. Now we have this. How undermining are Wednesday's attacks to the peace deal?
I think at the end of the day, it is the US which is responsible to get this deal implemented. Now, the trouble is that the Afghan government is not listening to the US. It was a commitment by the US government that it would make it sure that the 5,000 prisoners of Afghan Taliban, they would be released, and in return, Taliban would release 1,000 Afghan soldiers. So I think Americans will have to put their foot on the situation. They will have to pressurize to the Ashraf Ghani government to implement this deal, because Ashraf Ghani government does not have a control in much of Afghanistan. More than 70% territory is controlled by Afghan Taliban. They are the reality. And as the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said, that this deal is governed by the ground realities. And the ground reality is that the Taliban are potent military force. They will have now, since the Americans have failed to deal with Afghan Taliban militarily, so they found negotiated settlement as the only way out. By attacking Afghan Taliban's post, I think the Americans are complicating the situation. Their bigger trouble right now is the irritant of Ashraf Ghani government, which is controversially elected. There were hardly 15% turnout of the votes, and those elections have also been disputed because his contender, Abdullah is saying that those elections were fraudulent. So in a broader picture, I think if the situation persists, this deal could possibly derail. But the fact of the matter is that the Americans want to leave Afghanistan. Therefore, I think they will have to implement this deal.
Yeah, over the past almost 2 decades, Javed, we've heard that term peace talks reaching a final phase before, haven't we? Are we going to see the prospect of peace kicked down the road, delayed even more? The people of Afghanistan have been waiting so long for something concrete. Is that now out of their grasp?
It's a bumpy road to the peace. There will be certainly problems. There will be certainly irritants, as we have seen today, when we have seen attacks from both Afghan government soldiers, also from the US soldiers, and more particularly lethal attacks from the Afghan Taliban against Afghan soldiers. So in that context, technically the peace deal is already there, because the understanding was that there will be reduction in violence. There was no ceasefire. So I think now, as we speak, probably America needs to put its own house in order, particularly talking with the Ashraf Ghani government as to why they are not implementing this prisoner swap, prisoner swap is very important, because once the prisoner swaps happens, then the next step is that there will be intra-Afghan dialogue, which means all the political parties, all the major ethnic groups, they will be negotiating with Afghan Taliban about the shape of the next government. Now, Pakistan has also been under pressure from the US, behind the scene from Arab leaders. There have been reports suggesting that Pakistan is being asked that they should pressure Afghan Taliban to accept the terms and conditions of Ashraf Ghani government, that the Ashraf Ghani government should be accepted for next 4 years. That is something next to impossible. America needs to understand that the ground reality in Afghanistan are altogether different. Afghan Taliban are not listening to Pakistan the way the world believes that is the case.
Javed, thanks very much for giving us a lot of background into some of the scenes we've been seeing overnight in Afghanistan. JAVED RANA, geopolitical expert and journalist.